I'm Grant Hardy, and you're listening to The Pulse on AMI Audio. Today, we're joined by Shoko Kitano, Executive Director of the Come to Work program at CNIB, to discuss this really important initiative. Shoko, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us on The Pulse, and I just want to dive right in. Can you tell us what the Come to Work program is? What is the goal?
Absolutely. Hi, Grant. So the Come to Work program is the employment program that CNIB offers coast to coast to coast. And the goal of the program is really to unleash the untapped talent of the sightless community members who are looking to find meaningful employment. And also we partner with the employers to remove barriers in the world of work.
What are these barriers? Anyone who is blind or partially sighted, we recognize that there are barriers to employment, but what have you noticed people experience as barriers to the workforce most often?
I would say the biggest barrier is attitude. Attitude from the general public, attitudes of the employers. And I think that really, unfortunately, still persists, and the stereotype that or a misconception out there that people who are blind or partially sighted, they're not able to work. So I would say that's the biggest barrier. But in addition to that, there are, of course, more barriers as well, such as access to information. So if the application process isn't accessible or inclusive, or the interview process as well, then it poses a barrier as well. But I would say the attitude is the biggest barrier.
Yeah, definitely. Either misconceptions about abilities or maybe just even a fear, of I don't even know what, something kind of going wrong. I don't know exactly. Is this something that you've experienced in your own life, these types of misconceptions?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So I am legally blind myself, and I am a white cane user. And I'm going to tell you a story. So I was already working at CNIB. Before that, I was working at another nonprofit, but I had just started working at CNIB. I was commuting, and it was going to the CNIB office. Back then, it was on Joyce Street, and taking the SkyTrain. I live in Vancouver. So this person all of a sudden came up to me and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Okay, hello, who are you? But okay, I'm just heading over to my office on my way to work." And he said, "Oh, so blind people can work?" And that just kind of, in a nutshell, demonstrates some of the attitudinal barriers that not just employers themselves, but general public holds. And I faced it firsthand over and over again in different ways. This particular example is, I must say, was a little bit surprising even to compare to other experiences I had. But I think that people just still have this, again, view that people who are blind or partially sighted, we're not able to work. So it is a big issue for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I know one of the saddest things for me going through high school was just kind of being told, there's no requirement, there's no expectation to look for work. There is for in the mainstream, of course, it'd be a huge stigma on multiple fronts to not even try. But in my case, there really was no expectation even to try, which just really makes you think.
Absolutely. And I have to say too, Grant, I have lots of great opportunities to talk to folks who are blind or partially sighted of all ages. And I was having this great conversation with an individual, and he is an older adult. And he was telling me, just to your point, Grant, he was going to school, university. He wanted to pursue higher education. And the first thing he heard from the academic advisor is that, why bother? And well, you're just going to go and maybe work at a workshop where, you'll maybe weave baskets or assemble chairs or, something really like that. And what's the point in pursuing higher education if you're pretty much life or your career is no, it's not even a career, but is predetermined because of your blindness. And reflecting back on that myself, I think that yes, we have come a long way in many different ways. At the same time, though, I do still think that the concept misconceptions still persist in a really profound kind of way.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. How is the Come to Work program looking to, change the situation, dismantle some of these barriers, especially that are built into workplaces, corporations?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So we do partner with many employers, and main thing that we provide, one of the main things that we provide is blindness awareness presentations. And to your point, to earlier, Grant, you're talking about as well is really the lack of awareness or lack of knowledge of employers' part. Maybe they just don't even think about it until the opportunity arises where maybe somebody who is blind or partially sighted is applying, or as CNIB Come to Work outreach coordinators are knocking on their door and saying, "Hey, we have this opportunity. Would you like to learn more about inclusive hiring and also accessibilities and accommodations?" So we do actively engage outreach to employers of all sizes, from small to mid to large corporations as well, and try to break down the barrier and educate the employers so that the removal of the fear is there, and also they feel more confident about hiring somebody who is blind or partially sighted, and they feel that they're doing the right thing.
Nice to have that credibility of an organization behind you. It's all very well for me to tell an employer as Joe Schmo that, I can do this, but to have an organization with some credibility, some resources behind me to offer whatever that employer needs, kind of prove that it's going to work, that's going to be really fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You have some really big partners. I believe you have Apple, Bell, CBC. How did some of these partnerships, how did they come about?
Yes. So we do, of course, have a great team of individuals who do engage in partnerships. And many of them also really have sense of community in terms of maybe their previous career path, maybe their personal networks, and really being also able to match that with the climate, which it unfortunately might be changing a little bit now, but the diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and practices that many employers, especially large corporations, are embarking upon in terms of their journey to be more inclusive employers. So I think that it's really the matching of the two, and then also bringing that expertise in terms of the specialized knowledge around working and hiring people who are blind or partially sighted. Once again, it is interesting. We talk about disability community as a whole as well, but when it comes to folks who are blind or partially sighted, oftentimes employers feel a little bit less aware. So then inclusivity practices, really CNIB is trying to make sure that they're aware that also includes folks who are blind or partially sighted. And this is how you can be more inclusive and accessible to workforce who are blind or partially sighted. So that has been really tremendous. And of course, at the policy level with the governments too, there are many provinces that have been implementing accessibility or accessible acts. And of course, there's still long ways to go, but at the same time, there is that I think movement and momentum being built across Canada between different provinces and also as a country to be more inclusive, especially at the work level.
Yeah, I think it's definitely trending that way. And it's
Mhm.
interesting what you say. Blindness and being blind or partially sighted, it certainly is a very unique disability, which I think means that a unique employment program is needed. How would you say Come to Work is different from other
Mhm.
employment programs?
Yes. So absolutely, it is very important to talk about the specialized piece and expertise that Come to Work program offers. So I think that the first thing I want to say here is that Come to Work program is not a job placement
Mm-hmm.
program, and it is about empowering folks who are blind or partially sighted to embrace their abilities and enhance what they are capable of doing, and also connect that with their passion and their personal values. And it is about choice. CNIB's mission is to change what it means to be blind today in Canada, and so that people who are blind or partially sighted can live the lives that they choose. And that is really the fundamental the foundation of the Come to Work program. It's not just about getting a job. Again, going back to the story I shared earlier about, okay, here's a job, be happy with it. It's not about that. It is about having a career and meaningfully contributing to the society as an individual, just like anybody else. And also we do that, as I mentioned earlier, through actively engaging with the general public and the partner organizations as well. So creating the world of work without barriers, so that folks who are empowered to choose what they want to do with their life, especially in terms of their career, they're able to go out and choose a career path that they want to pursue.
Yeah, it's definitely the ultimate goal, not just having a stable job, but being able to, you know what, I want to take a risk, move to a different job, or I want to take this promotion that's like rightfully mine, instead of just being
Mm-hmm.
happy, in the job that I have because it pays the bills.
Exactly.
Um, so you mentioned this isn't, job placement. How do you, what services are offered for the talent pool, like career counseling, resume
Mm-hmm.
writing, maybe
Mm-hmm.
matching to available jobs? Yeah. Tell me a little bit more
Yes.
about
For sure, absolutely. In terms of resume, mock interview practices, and group training workshops around when to disclose or how to disclose about your disability, and how do you dress for success or to impress, and very specific pieces around that. And then, speaking of which, technology training is also another part of it. In terms of using screen reader software, magnification. I mean, rise of AI nowadays. There's a lot of different technology devices as well as software that's available to level the playing field, so to speak, so that we can compete with our sighted peers. So very specialized in that sense in terms of blindness we offer, but also to your point about matching piece. So because we partner with many employers, we do have, for example, networking opportunities or events. In fact, there is one happening very soon. So we have networking events throughout the year, virtually and in person. So that's where employer partners are able to meet with our talent pool members, and vice versa, of course, and explore how what kind of opportunities are out there and what career path will I want to get into. So there is that matching process that happens at events like that as well.
Okay, so that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a good entry point. So technology is really important. Would you say like that's the one thing to kind of like maybe get out of the way at the beginning, is learn your technology skills? Like, how important is technology today in the workforce?
It's absolutely essential. It's critical. I think that technology has come a long way as well. And being able to get done a task in a very efficient, timely manner, just like their sighted peers, technology cannot be understated at all. And also, it's an evolving field. Technology changes all the time. And we hear this from folks who are coming to the Come to Work program, let's say midway through their career. Let's say they have lost their sight due to their degenerative eye condition, or maybe they encounter something in their life that suddenly took away their sight, and they need to basically be able to learn how to be a blind person. And that part of that is a technology piece. I think that being able to talk about it from lived experience perspective, all our trainers are people who are blind or partially sighted themselves, and they use technology themselves on a daily basis. And there's a lot of tricks and techniques, not just about just foundational knowledge about how this software piece of device works, but also being able to teach, you know what, this is a very quick way to do A, B, and C. And this is really useful in this situation. And being able to speak at that level is very important for our talent pool members. And also, I believe that creates a sense of community. I should have mentioned this earlier too, in terms of Come to Work program and the uniqueness of it. And I think that also extends to so many different programs that CNIB offers, but it's the sense of community. CNIB is a more than 100 years old organization, and also extends to all across Canada. And many people who are blind or partially people are members of CNIB. And that sense of community and focusing on specific topics, in this case, we're talking about employment, brings people together and creates this opportunity to share knowledge and experience. And that, I think, also normalizes some of those fears that, or maybe also addresses some of the internalized ableism that some of the folks bring to the program as well. I'm speaking about especially those people who are new to vision loss may hold some of those misconceptions or stereotypes to be true because they just didn't know or don't know any better because they were part of the sighted community before and now joining the blindness community, right?
Oh, 100%. I still believe I have zero internalized ableism. And then every now and then someone says something and I'm kind of, I have to check this assumption that I had. Yeah, absolutely. The community, bringing people together, just getting over the fear, in this case, technology that, look, it may not be 100% easy all the time, but it is absolutely doable.
Yes.
Can we talk about the Talent Accelerator program and what that is?
Oh, yes, the Talent Accelerator program, or TAP for short. So this program has been running for a little bit now, and it focuses more on advancing the people's career. There's I think too, is really pushing to the next level through mentorship and different opportunities as such, so that it's not about only about entry level opportunities, but it is about climbing the ladder, if you wish, in a corporation, if that's your choice, or if that is something that you want to continue to specialize in or continue to hone in on in terms of their career. So it is about accelerating your career path.
And that is a key difference from other employment programs for sure, which are just there to get you working, which is great. But it's awesome that you folks are focused on advancing careers as well. And the mentorship program, can you tell us what kind of services are provided by a mentor?
Absolutely. So mentorship is critical in terms of employment support and career advancement, as I just mentioned as well. And having a mentor who, for example, might be a professional person who has been advancing their career for a long time and they're blind themselves, and being able to mentor somebody who's just getting into a career, that is one aspect of the mentorship. But another one is, of course, industry experts. They might be blind or not, or maybe they might be fully sighted, and for them to be able to share some of the insights into that industry, or maybe networks that they may have in that specific industry, that also could be a really big leg up, so to speak, for our talent pool members as well. And also thinking about how do you negotiate your salary, and how do you get to the next position, next step in terms of the career. So having perspectives and insights into that, and being able to tap into it on an one-on-one sort of setting is great. And we're just exploring a group sort of type of mentorship opportunity as well. It's almost like a very speedy way of meeting some of those mentors in a group setting, and then exploring different individuals, mentors that they might be really keen to talk more further as one-on-one as well. So there are different mentorship opportunities that folks are able to participate through the Come to Work program.
Okay, that sounds really exciting. And also learning labs. We maybe have touched on a few of these, but what sort of topics are explored in a learning lab?
Yeah, so learning labs, we do have our staff members oftentimes, and also guest speakers, or potentially sometimes vocational partners that may come and talk about specific topics. Mentioned before, disclosing about your disability. How do you go about that? And also maybe we talk about how do you pick up the cues when you can't pick up on the visual cues, and how do you communicate effectively with maybe potential employers or hiring managers, and so forth. We talk about a variety of things. Technology is another topic that comes up. The training that I mentioned earlier is 101, and we do have some specific training there as well, but we learn through learning labs too. People will be able to explore some of those topics around technology, some of the latest technology devices or software apps, and so forth. So anything to do with employment in a sort of group setting. And again, this is another area too that lots of questions come up from our talent pool members, and that sense of community that the learning labs foster, I think, is another great piece we see.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you think of a really common sort of, I don't know, question or concern that comes up? Like, I don't know. What do I do if there's some sort of accommodation I need that isn't being provided, or more body language, or I don't know, is there sort of a common recurring frustrations that you hear?
Yeah, it's a great question. Self-advocacy is definitely a recurring question that come up from our talent pool members for sure. So maybe there are certain things that they need in order to be successful in a specific role or position. But how do you go about advocating for yourself? Or another common question, and we have done this in partnership with our advocacy department or team as well, is so how do I know, when do I know when I'm being discriminated? So I think that there are many questions like that come up. I would also add, again, this is the piece that it's interesting, but it does come up from our talent pool members time and time again, is what do blind people do for work? Again, it is that the lack of awareness, lack of knowledge piece when somebody is just entering into the blindness community, or maybe they're just not sure. In general, maybe they're just, a young adult or youth, and they just never have really thought about having a career yet, but they're starting to, or their parents or guardians, family members, that they're worried about their own children who are blind or partially sighted, who are growing up. And so we do have some questions that come up like that as well. And I do want to say here that we don't put any limit in terms of what quote unquote blind people can do for work. It is all about exploring the person's passion, their skill set, what they want to do in their lives, and how do we support the person, empower the person to advocate for themselves, have train for the skills that they need to be successful in the role, and then for us to support the journey. So yeah, those are some of the questions, common questions that may come up. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. And there's so much more we could talk about, but I just want to make sure we get to this. Deloitte, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. They published a really their statement, I think, was very compassionate that, we want to do this. Maybe we weren't quite ready to be an accessible employer. How is the CNIB able to do that, make that transformation, if you will, or reduce some of that hesitancy?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. And Deloitte is one of our employer partners as well, and work very closely with. Yes, I think that again, it is about education and removing the fear through the blindness awareness workshops that we do. And also further to that, I think that when removing some of those misconceptions and inviting them into the blindness community, for example, through having a networking event, and Deloitte actually has sponsored some of our events before as well. For example, our Connecting the Dots conference in the past. So I think on an ongoing basis. So I think that being an active ally of the blindness community, especially in the world of work, and really interacting and working with individuals with lived experience who are blind or partially sighted, I think that removing that barrier through direct experience, I think, is huge, and being an ally in a very tangible way. And I think that it's really great that the employers such as Deloitte feels that there's still lots to learn, and I think that that's very important to highlight. And CNIB is here along the way, every step of the way, to support the employers to be most accessible and inclusive.
Thank you. And there's a lot that this program offers, including entrepreneurship as well, I believe, for people who want to start a business. So definitely hope that people will check out the website and read about all the services that they can take advantage of. I just wanted to ask you, why is this program important to you?
Oh, it's very important to me on a personal level. As I said, I am blind myself, and when I was growing up as a child, I knew I was losing my sight, and at that time, I really didn't know what I can do or I'm capable of, and I think. It became really personal. I believe in independence and then also now as a woman of color, as an immigrant to Canada, and somebody who is blind. It is very personal that I'm able to be contributing to leading this program, Come to Work across Canada, and shaping the society in a way, contributing to shaping the society to be more inclusive and accessible, so that folks like us will be able to really be part of the world, part of the society, just like anybody else. And to me, that's very important.
It's just so meaningful in our society to be able to work, and we're deserving people. We're deserving of jobs and careers, and we're just as good as anybody else. Any last thought you wanted to leave people with here before we go?
For sure. I thank you again, Grant, for this opportunity to speak about the Come to Work program. And for those, for anybody who is interested in learning more about the Come to Work program as a talent pool member or as a potential employer partner, please do visit us at cometowork.ca, or you can email us at cometowork@cnib.ca.
Shoko, thank you so much for joining us today on The Pulse. Fantastic work that you're doing at CNIB with the Come to Work program.
Thank you so much for having me, Grant.
Thanks again to Shoko Kitano from the CNIB for joining us today on The Pulse. The Pulse is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Grant Hardy. Thanks for listening.